You ask and I'm delivering. Today we're talking about all my favorite classroom must-haves if you're a special education teacher. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Rachel from the Behavior Check-In. I'm a behavior teacher and coach in Florida, and today we are talking about all my favorite classroom items. Obviously, you don't have to have all these things. These are not needs, they are wants. But there's some of my favorite things that I really enjoy, and I'm going through the things that I have. Most of these things are on Amazon, and then I'm going to share a few things with you from Teachers Pay Teachers. If these are the things that you would like to have in your classroom, they have really helped me out. My students have really enjoyed them. I'm going in no particular order. I'm just listing some of the things that I really like, and I'm going to go ahead and put them up here. And of course, if you're interested in getting any of these things, I will link my Amazon storefront below and my Teachers Pay Teachers if you want any of these items. That way you can grab them. So the very first thing that I'm going to talk about, my students love. I got these back when I first started teaching, and they've been a big hit all the way from preschool to junior high, and that is the Sequin pillows. The kids really love these. They are great for calming down. They typically sit in like a big Joe or a chair and just kind of like rub the pillows, and it helps them relax, and I just think they're really pretty. They've held up really well. Like I said, I've had them from when I started teaching, and it's really easy to just take them home. I have like a sanitation setting on my dryer, and I can just pop them in the dryer for sanitation to wash them, get them clean. But the kids really enjoy them, and they are definitely, I think, worth the purchase. This is a biggie. And if you're going to be teaching special education, especially behavior, or working in like an autism unit, you are definitely going to need timers. You'll be timing everything. You'll be timing breaks, you'll be timing tasks, you'll be timing transitions. It's very helpful. Our students work very well on structure and routine, and timers are incredibly beneficial for this because they kind of help with learning how to executive function. They also let kids know how long they have to work before they get a scheduled break. They let kids know how long the break's gonna be. Timers are just everything. You're gonna use a lot of timers, and I love these timers. They have held up well. I like them that I can stick them on a lanyard if I want to. I can keep them on my desk. They're magnetic. I can put them on the board. Whatever you need them for, they're great. Love timers. This is one that has been huge with my preschool all the way up through junior high again. They all love the Kinetic sand. Kinetic sand is just very helpful when you have a student who is trying to calm down. I use this in my calm down centers. I don't really necessarily do a calm down center per se for junior high because they don't like that term, but I have it out and available, and they kind of just grab it at their leisure and use that to help them regulate. I love Kinetic sand. It's a lot of fun. It can be a little messy, so keep that in mind, but the kids really do like it, and it's easy to replace if need be. I just keep it in a plastic tub and they use it as needed. My students absolutely love my breathing ball, and I would pull it out and show it to you. I've used it in a lot of my videos, but I have packed up everything for my classroom because we're getting ready to move, if you've seen in my previous video, but I'm just gonna show you pictures. But they love this thing. They love the breathing ball. It is something I keep on my desk. It just kind of gets them talking and thinking, and it's just a huge hit. I have had it now for 4 years in multiple classrooms. It's got a little bit of an arm that's kind of having some issues now, but it's still holding up really well. All my students love it. Across the board, I think it is a must-have to have in a calm down center. I would advise though that you keep it kind of close to you so you can monitor it, because kids can sometimes break stuff a little bit. So I keep it when I'm talking to them or in an area where I'm with them. I wouldn't just leave it out willy-nilly because they could potentially break them, but they're not super expensive if they do break them, easy to replace. But I really do like the breathing balls. In fact, I've had a lot of adults come in and use the breathing balls too, and I've used them when I'm stressed. They can use them for teaching the breathing techniques, or just something to kind of fidget with when you're trying to talk about something, and that's what the kids really like. These bubble tubes, bubble timers, I really have found that a lot of my kids love these. They love to watch them, and they're just visually very satisfying. This has helped kids in my calm down corner. Sometimes they'll keep it, they're easy to keep on hand if you need them for like a student who needs a break and they just kind of want to like zone out for a minute. They love these bubble timers, and I keep them. One thing I love about bubble timers is when I'm traveling around from classroom to classroom, which I do a lot of my job as a coach, I can keep them in my fanny pack, and that way I can just pull them out easily if I need them at hand. They travel light, and it makes it great. So a lot of kids really, really love these. These are extremely popular item that I replace a lot because sometimes they go missing, but the kids really do. Big Joes are very, very popular. I think they are a must-have to have in the classroom for your calm corner. There's just something about sitting in a beanbag chair that's just instantly relaxing. And my students love them. You can get the replacement beanbag filler for them when they start to go flat. When you're trying to transfer the beans into the beanbag, you're gonna need a funnel and probably a friend and a vacuum cleaner. Those are the things just to keep in mind when you have to refill your beanbag chairs. But I do really like them. The students really like them. I think they're easy to clean if you need to. I just wipe them down with Clorox wipes or cleaner in a rag when I want to sanitize them in between kids. But that's pretty much all you need to do. I did that when I had elementary because they would get them really dirty. My junior high kids never really got them dirty, but just for sanitary purposes, because kids, are kids, I would like clean it down just to keep from germs from spreading. But it was really easy to clean and maintain, and actually sometimes the kids would help me do that. This is my absolute favorite must purchase item, and it is cabinet locks. I love these locks. Love, 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 love. I had ratty cabinets in my classroom, and I had no keys or locks to them, and I had to do our school store for our entire unit, and I kept food and fidgets and all sorts of things in there. And I had some sticky fingers, and I wanted to make sure that nobody got into my stuff. Plus, the big one was over the summer when I left my classroom, I didn't want anybody to get into it, especially if you had like summer school and classes going in there. So I was able to lock them up. I was also able to lock up my video games and other things I just didn't want kids to get into. I had a key that came with plenty of little extra keys, and I would give those to my assistants in case I was out and they needed to get into anything. They had a key to it, but it wasn't available for students to get into. I had them on my cabinets for 2 years. They held up perfectly fine. They did not come off. They stayed. I actually didn't try to remove them, so I don't have a review on removing them, but I think if you got in there with like a razor blade or something, you could probably just detach them. But they connect with almost like a command strip, but it doesn't have like the pull like a command strip. So I can't speak to how they remove, but they stayed like really, really, really good. So I don't think a kid could actually separate it. They'd have to work really, really hard to do it, and that would be a whole different thing. I think that if you had adult supervision, you would know that's what they were trying to do. So my biggest thing was to keep them out of there if I wasn't around. So I wasn't as worried, but they did hold up really well, and I love those cabinet locks. So I think they're great because I've been in so many classrooms where the cabinets once upon a time had a key and no longer have a key. So it's nice to have that and have it for yourself as well. I mean, it's good for the school store. It's good for toys you don't want kids to get into yet if you use them for certain centers. Things you just don't want people to get into, a play switch purse, whatever. I love them. I can't say enough about them, obviously. So those are definitely, I would say, and those are moving more into a need and less of a want. All right, I used these handheld tally timers a lot when I was working in preschool. They are great for keeping track of behaviors. So if you have a student who's doing something and they do it a lot, you can just track. It's like the baseball timers, just track them, and at the end you have your whole timer. You don't have to think about constantly documenting and writing stuff down. I had students, we were measuring like blurting out, or I had like a preschool student who said a lot of inappropriate curse words, and we were trying to decrease that because that doesn't go so well in preschool. We're trying to get them to replace that behavior, bring those curse words down, whatever you want to use it for, whatever your behavior you're trying to track. They were nice to just click, click, click instead of having to make tally marks. That way I could continue teaching, doing whatever I needed to do, and I wasn't constantly looking down at my notepad. And at the end, when I was ready to put the data in, I could see that we had 37 instances on the timer. So it was really nice and helpful for that data collection. And once again, it's something you can keep easily in your fanny pack if you are a coach like I am, or a teacher who moves from classroom to classroom. My favorite fidget is Tangle fidgets. I don't know, for me personally, they're very satisfying. I also like that they can break apart. The kids can kind of put them back together. They're not a loud fidget. And once again, they travel easily. I can use them from student to student. They're easy to clean. They don't explode like squish balls. and they aren't irritating like some of the spinners. So I have found they are the best to use in classrooms. Yeah, sometimes the kids will take them apart, but they're still listening, and I have just found that most of the kids, I have found that all the kids really like them. They just find them to be really good fidgets for in the classroom setting that aren't distracting to other people. So I buy a lot of these because, once again, I tend to hand them out and sometimes they don't ever come back, but it's okay. If it helps the kid, helps the kid. But I also keep them in my fanny pack as well, because if I have a student who needs a fidget, I need to distract them from something, because that has happened before where I had a really upset child and we just used the fidget real fast to kind of help de-escalate and work through what was bothering them. I had it right on me, easy to hand to them. They were able to kind of mess with the fidget, kind of take their mind off of whatever had them worked up, and then we were able to breathe and talk through it. So I love Tangle fidget. This is going into more of the needs category and less of the want, and that is a broom. You're gonna need a broom. Kids are messy. It doesn't matter the age. Preschool to junior high, they're all messy. And if you have things like the Kinetic sand, you're gonna probably need a broom. I don't know what they do. They just make a mess. So I would always keep a broom. I feel like waiting on the custodians to clean up stuff, they try, but they're very, very busy people, and I don't want to go all day with a mess on my floor. So I like to have a broom for when I need it for the situations. So that is a definite. I like the brooms that have the little dustpans attached to them. It just makes it easier to store, get to, makes it easy for the kids to use too, because they can stand and hold it and give them that responsibility. My students would eat in the classroom for breakfast a lot, and they would make a mess. So I liked having my own broom that the students could use to sweep up, because that was teaching them a life skill and some responsibility for the classroom as well. And it was just helpful for me to give them jobs to do. I've mentioned this a ton of times, but a fanny pack, I feel like, is everything. We all know that pants and dresses just don't have the pockets we need, and a fanny pack holds everything. I've also put my cell phone in there, because you would not believe how many times my cell phone has fallen out of my back pockets into the toilet. We don't need that. Women's pants just don't have deep enough pockets. So a fanny pack is great. You can put your keys, you can put your badge, you can put all the fidgets, you can put band-aids, you can put chapstick, you can put hand sanitizer, all the things that you need. I keep extra pencils, pens, all of those things, because you just never know when you're gonna need them. And I like to have things on me all the time. I like to be prepared, and I even keep dry erase markers in there. I mean, my fanny pack it's a lot, but I keep little pieces of candy. We do like tiger tokens. So if I catch a kid, any kid on campus, not just like my own particular students, I'll give them a tiger token. I just like to have all that stuff on me. So I love having a fanny pack. I think that they are just very helpful as a teacher. One thing I really love are the Frixion pens, because they're erasable. And I found they are really motivating to kids who don't like to write and do their work. You can kind of use hey, if you write a little bit, I'll let you use my erasable pen. They have fun colors. The kids will borrow them and use them to write with. I like them too, because if I'm taking data and I mess something up, I can just erase it real fast. And because I've talked about that. I do digital data, but sometimes I'll write things down quickly in a notebook if I'm not near a device. And if I made a mess up or whatever, I can erase it. I like that. It's not messy and all crossed out. It's just there and it's easy. And like I said, it's helpful to have the different colors of the erasable pen. So if I'm showing a student how to do something and I want to differentiate it or kind of break it down, I can use the different colors. And they like that. I just don't think I'll ever go back to pens that aren't erasable. Erasable pens are where it's at. They are hands down my favorite pens. All right, you are not a special education teacher if you do not have a laminator and laminating sheets. I actually own 2 laminators, because when I'm laminating a lot of things, I like to do it quickly. I know that people say that this is hack where you can put multiple sheets in the laminator. I have tried that and I have been burned almost every single time. It has either crumpled up my sheets or not laminated them enough. So I do one at a time. But the one thing that does help is if you tape them all together and then let them go in a row. That really helps. But I like to have 2 going at once, because then I can just get a lot of stuff laminated at one time. But you don't need to. I just do it because it saves time for me and I can just let them go. But this isn't the laminator that I have. I couldn't find the laminator that I had, but I have the Scotch laminator. It has done well for me. I have 2 of them. And I also use the Amazon laminating sheets. They're cheaper and they work great. I have had no issue with them as long as I put them in one at a time. I don't like to do them multiple. Like I said, I have just ruined so many things and been mad at myself for trying to cut corners, and then it didn't work for me. So one at a time, but the Amazon sheets and Scotch laminators are 100% where it's at. I am not a huge fan of making bulletin boards. I know there's teachers that love doing them. I am not one of them. I work really hard to put one up, and then I just leave it there for as long as I can leave it there. And that is why I absolutely love Better Than Paper, because Better Than Paper, I had my last one up, my bulletin board with Better Than Paper for 3 years. 3 years it was up, and it did not fade, and it looked beautiful as the day I put it up when I took it down. And they're a little bit pricier, but it just looks so good, and they have all sorts of like fun colors and patterns. I love Better Than Paper. I just feel like it's really sturdy. It's better than like the butcher paper. I mean, obviously this is definitely a want, not a need. But if you're someone who does put up your bulletin boards and you leave them up for a very long time or years at a time or whatever you do, or at least the background for a long period of time, then Better Than Paper is definitely gonna be the way you wanna go, because it's going to save you time and money. And I believe time is money. So if I don't have to keep putting up a background because my paper's good, then I like it that way. And I think it's easier to use. I've done the fabric before, and I haven't been really a huge fan of fabric because the fabric, I don't know, it just hasn't worked out as well for me. I like Better Than Paper. That's just a personal choice. Another thing that you need if you're a special education teacher is going to be Velcro, but I don't like the strip Velcro. It ruins your scissors, it's annoying. I'm not a fan of it. We are Velcro dots all the way. That is the only thing I will buy, but I love Velcro dots, and I will buy them in jumbo packs. You can get them in jumbo packs on Amazon. You can get them in jumbo packs at Costco. It doesn't matter, but the dots. Don't waste your time with the strips. I can't even think why you would need the strips. I have hung up stuff, everything in my classroom with these Velcro dots, and they've held up like clocks and posters and pictures and everything. Not to mention I use them for all the visuals that I make for students. So Velcro dots, you will, that's moving out of the want definitely to the need category as well. You will need them if you are a special education teacher. Even in the junior high, I was still using Velcro dots. So there's a purpose for them no matter where you are, no matter what population you work with. I also really like light covers. I am a little neurospicy myself, so I don't like bright light in my classroom. It gives me a headache, causes migraines, stresses me out. I know my students like these light covers too. They just make the room kind of like a calmer vibe, and they help. Just fluorescent lights, they're not my thing. They are not. And lamps are expensive, and sometimes if you have kids that sometimes have meltdowns, you don't really want lamps. Lamps can go in the direction of being weapons. So I like the light covers better. That way, if I want to kind of control the lighting, I think it's a little bit easier with the light covers. So moving out of Amazon purchases, some of the things that I really love that have helped me a lot is, you guys, if you've been following me for a while, you know that I use Google Sheets to collect data. I have done so many videos on Google Sheets. My Google Sheets are everything. They have saved me so much time. They have saved me piles of stacks of paper. Like I said earlier, sometimes I don't always have my computer at my fingertips, so I will carry around like a little notepad or some sticky notes and maybe write things on there, but then I'll go back to my desk and I'll pop it in the sheet real fast. And I love it because it's just so neat. It's so easy to look at. You can run a spell checker through it, which is great. I can share it with parents. I can share it with other therapists. I can even share it with the students if I want to. And it's just so, it just makes you look so much more professional, and I feel like my data is more accurate as well, because I am putting it in there, and I just kind of keep on the habit of either I do it in real time on the computer or have an assistant do it in real time, or I'll just write down a notebook and transfer it over. Whatever it is, I do it for my students' point sheets, because in our behavior program, we use a point system to kind of help them work towards meeting their goals and to help them learn how to understand where they're at in their behavior and kind of be able to reflect. So we use the point sheets for that. We do that for their behavioral data. We do that for their IEP data. I just love Google Sheets. So I will link all of my Google Sheets below, my Teachers Pay Teachers, if you're interested in any of those. For me, it's just been a huge game changer and I think it just makes life so much easier. So there you have it. Those are a few of my favorite things. I have more. They're linked in my storefront for you to peruse. I just didn't want this video to be like 2 hours long, but you can look at all the things that I like from Amazon that you can use in your classroom if you want to. Once again, no pressure, just some ideas. I know a lot of teachers are working on their Amazon storefronts right now, and these are some great things to put in there. Also, if you're getting money from your school and you're trying to figure out how to spend it, these are some great things to spend your money on, or if your parents ask to donate, you have some ideas. Thank you so much for coming to my channel and watching this video to the very end. I really appreciate it. If you could, please leave a like, leave a comment if you enjoyed this, or let me know below if you stayed the whole time what your favorite item is that you use in your classroom. And of course, share this out to any teacher you think that it would be helpful to. As always, I will catch you next time.